Musik. Good evening. Merry time of day. Let's see if we can find... Hello, our cat cam for this. Very snuggly void who has been impatiently waiting for me to sit myself down so that she could have some lap time. Although she has been enjoying some ring sling time today too while I've been editing, and she seems to be enjoying it more and more as she gets familiar with this whole ring sling adventures. Hello, Catpaw. Hello. Have a good meal, Alex. See you when you are ready. I am a little bit rusty. I have been. I didn't think I've been straining my voice today, but apparently maybe I have. So I hope everyone is well. This is going to be a very chill 1st December live stream. So I hope everyone is doing good, taking it easy, enjoying fur baby snuggles if they happen to have one. We had both cats in here earlier making a glorious chaos, but Embla has left me now for other fun things. She seems to really enjoy getting into. I haven't yet gotten a proper basket for my bigger scraps. Like, I have a small basket for my small scraps, but not one that is big enough for the bigger scraps. So it's just living in a cardboard box for now. And Embla loves to get into it, especially if I have this standing mat thing, Squish, and I put that over it if I'm not using it, and she really likes getting into it and then digging around in the fabric scraps until she makes herself a really nice snug cave, and she thinks that is a lot of fun. It's super cute. And it's 9 a.m. in Southern California for Kelly. Hello, welcome. It is currently 6 p.m. here, so I am winding down after a good long day of working. Let's see, Catpaw says, without going back to rewatch the video about the As You Like It shawl, did I do any particular edging? I have enough yarn for 17 more rows, I think, and too many stitches. Indeed. I was considering doing a lacy bind off, or even in the beginning of the project, before I realized how long it was going to take, I was considering making a lace edging and then sort of stitching it on around the edge. But I didn't have time to do that, so I did not end up doing any particular. I just cast it off at the end as loosely as I could to maintain the flexibility. But you totally could, just Google some kind of lace edge thing if you want to try that, but I didn't. But it does curl up more if you do that, so, or rather if you don't do an edge. So if you are able, I would recommend blocking it, and then it'll keep the edge straighter. That'll really help with that. Hello Carolyn, hello Max, welcome. Hello to cute voidling greetings, they are of course very important. She is purring up a storm. She clearly has not been getting enough attention recently, according to her opinion. Your day turned out okay, but yesterday was very stressful and rough. That's sad to hear, Max. I hope you are feeling alright now. Some days are like that. I still have, although I'm not sure if I will be able to work on it, these pair of pajama pants that we were patching, but with a very snuggly void who doesn't really like having large things on top of her, perhaps we shall instead return to our trusty crazy patchwork pouch that is almost done, and it should get almost done because I had hoped to have it done before the new year. I guess time will tell if we are successful. We have a lot of dark edges left. That's not true. We don't have a lot of edges left at all, but I feel like the edges that we do have would do better if we gave it some light thread, like almost white, so that it's properly visible. Would you hold on to this while I look for a thread? Should we just do white? I mean, I have white. I also have baby pink, which could work with the lavender blue that we got going on. We have some, I guess this is a beige. We've done a fair amount of yellow. I think we've done some orange too. Yeah, we've done some orange. So I think we will either be doing... Oop, it's quite a messy. I'm not keeping my embroidery threads very well organized. Let go, please. I haven't really done any red either. Yeah, I've done orange, but no red. Let's pull her out too. You are a contender for... Oh, is this an open red? This is indeed an open red. Let's use you first. Okay, we have a couple of contenders. It is the season. So, to start with, shall we do baby pink, soft light pink, white, or red? Shall we actually do a poll for that? I haven't done a poll in ages. Let's see. How did I do that? Let's move it here. Which... Whoops. Color. And we will do white light pink or red. No. Oh no, what did I do? I clicked a button. I hope we are still connected. You were not supposed to load the whole page. We seem to still be online, so that is a... But we have to redo this whole... Which I type so fast when my keyboard is so far away. Light pink or red. And we shall start poll. While we do, I shall grab another throat soother, because otherwise I don't think this day will get... I don't think this will be the best best stream unless I help my voice along a bit. You are still here, Kelly? Yeah, that is good. Hopefully that is. Hello, Embla. They weren't kitty snacks, they were human snacks. I am sorry for the disappointment. I know it is very upsetting. I started a new sweater as a Christmas present, and today I decided on the accent colors. Ooh, that's exciting, Doro. It is quite ambitious to start a sweater. They are such good presents, but they take so long. I'm always scared I'm not going to finish them in time. Hello, Embla. Yeah, I don't have snacks still. Yeah, I know, it's upsetting. Hello, hello, Marianne, welcome. Hello, Jente, let's see. Oh, I can't, this poll is in the way, so I can't really read my big chat. I have my small chat, this is hard. As it is St. Nicholas feast tonight and tomorrow in the Netherlands and Belgium. And thereabouts, I'd say red. Is it already the St. Nicholas feast so early in December? Wow. So much in Norway is connected to the end towards the winter solstice that we also have Lucia Day on the 13th, where we make lussekatter, which are baked buns with saffron and raisins, and they are very yellow and gorgeous. And if you grow up working class, they are colored with turmeric, not saffron, but we have made a couple of, are you leaving me? Saffron buns in recent years, and they do have an extra flavor, but that was not something I grew up with. We flavored it with turmeric, because that was the working class way to do it. Sorry I'm late, what's the color for? That's alright, Joanna. It's just the first choice of color for ye old crazy patchwork quilt. I'm probably going to be using all of them for the course of the day. I just was... Madams, you don't have to fight because you don't get snacks. Seriously. You know, we're trying to have a cozy Yule thing, and I am not opposed to some bribery and corruption. Are we gonna get cat cam for both of you? Yeah, I have one for you too, darling. I have one for you too. Oops. Yeah, that's just a lid. My little restless darling. You are suing one of snacks today, aren't you? You are suffering, I see it. You are starving. You are but skin and bones. Did you lose it? There it is. But yeah, it is just the first color. I will probably use all of them because I realized they are among the colors I haven't used for this crazy patchwork thing where I'm using all of the colors that we have. And not only that, but we are blessed with, just for now, double cats, only because there are snacks. Yeah, farewell. Oh well, the life of not snacks. Let's turn you off for now when there is no cat. Let's see, it seems like you won as well, Jente. Red did win over light pink by 53% versus 40%. So red it is for the first thread. That is more votes for red. Hello from Sweden. Hello, Emma. Welcome. Oh, I closed the poll and cannot open it again. It happens. Red won anyway this time. Where did it go? There it is. And Jente telling us that St. Nicholas Day is when Sinterklaas, in Dutch, brings the good children gifts in their shoes. Ooh, interesting. Have you heard about the story of the Christmas cat in Icelandic folklore that will eat children who don't get new clothing for Christmas? It's a bit grim, but I mean, a lot of the old tales are make sure you scare the children into appreciating, I suppose, what they're getting, or, you know, keeping away from dangerous streams and that kind of thing. But skin and bones, yeah, I know. Cats who don't get snacks regularly are but skin and bones. As you could see, my cats are severely not at all a normal healthy weight and wasting away without any form of nourishing enrichment. At least according to them. Here in Germany too, but only if you cleaned your shoes on the evening before. Ooh, interesting. That is. There are so many. In Norway, there is a day where, by law, by one of the laws in the Viking that we have is that you have to brew beer for Christmas, and you have to brew Christmas beer specifically, and it has to be done by, is it different than your regular beer? And there were a whole bunch of other guidelines for requirements, and there's also like you can't work on the winter solstice, so everything has to be done by then, and all kinds of other interesting restrictions. But I have not grown up with one with the shoes. That is an interesting one. That's a nice one. I like it. Let's see, we shall finally tackle this edge with something. Hello from Jamaica. First time I'm this early. The rain woke me from a needed nap. Oh, well, I'm sad the rain woke you, but at least you had a nap for a while. What shall we do with you? I don't have my Christmas cup yet, but I do have a gift we got from a friend, a lovely pink, I guess in honor of the pink choice, little Moomin, I think it's called Lovers, is it not? I think this is called Lovers. Oh, it doesn't say. But we got it as a anniversary gift. It was very cute. It's the only Moomin cup I own, and it was a gift. I don't do the Norwegian thing of collecting all of the Moomin cups all of the time. In Belgium, you need to put a carrot for the horse and beer for Piet, and your letter for Sinterklaas in your shoe. Oh, elaborate. I love it. And more fun facts. I live in Magdeburg, the city of Otto. His son, Otto II, married the Byzantine princess Theophano, who brought the worship of St. Nicholas to Europe. Ooh, cool. I wonder... Oh, beg your pardon. Upset tummy today. I wonder if the Christmas stockings evolved from that St. Nicholas tradition then somehow. Ooh, nice theory. Nicholas of Myra was a 4th century bishop. Yes, indeed. Although I will say I do like the old Yule traditions. Ooh, maybe I can grab my footstool while Madam is not on my lap, because I do like having a stool to rest my feet upon, especially if Madam is sleeping on them for a while. Hi from Sweden. Hello, Sophie Goff. Welcome. We're having a nice little red-themed hangout. Hello, darling. Are you coming back? Someone is full of chaos energy. I shall figure out what she's breaking into when we're done. But Embla, if you're stuck, that was entirely your fault, and you can probably unstuck yourself as well. We should celebrate Hogswatch anyway? Yes, absolutely. We haven't watched that yet. It is on my list. It is so... yes. I do agree. Hogswatch is a very good choice. Always a good time to enjoy a bit of Hogswatch tomfoolery. And we have it, while we lived in London, we got it on a DVD, so we have it. Because it isn't streamed in Norway, we don't get it. And we used to watch it on YouTube in all its dubious qualities, but you never knew it if it had been taken up or down due to copyright. So, safely stored on a DVD for now. I mean, DVDs do also wear out, but as long as it lasts, I shall be very happy. And we have the book too, which is also very sweet. A Sinterklaas evolved into Santa Claus, so the stocking theory might not be very far-fetched. Indeed. In Norway we don't call it any translation of Santa Claus, we call it julenissen, which nisser are little gnomes that usually live on Norwegian farms and, create mischief or help you, depending on how you treat them. And you need to put out a bowl of porridge, creamy rice porridge with a big wad of butter in the middle on Christmas Eve, so that they are happy and fed for the year, and then they will help you with the chores in a sort of hidden way, but they're tiny little things. So our Santa Claus is kind of a large version of that evolved from those little house spirits, in a sense. What is Hogswatch? A fictional holiday from the Terry Pratchett novel Hogfather? Yes, it's a very good summary, Joanna. It's a very funny. I appreciate Pratchett even more, more and more as I grow older. Madams, you don't need to make all the noise. Because I really appreciate you. I'm noticing the contrast more and more when I read other books, but what I really love about Pratchett is that there are no unimportant characters. Even if a story is about a specific person or persons, all the characters that they interact with are full-fleshed human beings. You can see the humanity, no matter if they're farmers or guards or, a neighbor. Characters that might otherwise be washed over and just get that generic, guard 1, guard 2, haha, they're not as smart as our hero. You don't see that in Pratchett. Even when you're introduced to a character that is, by all intents and purposes seems to be a simpleton, they still have internal logic, they still have their own wisdom, they still have so many things going for them, and they're so deeply, deeply human. I come back to the Pratchett books regularly for that comforting knowledge that, there are writers out there, or were, in Sir Terry's case, writers out there who write humans so human, so vivid and fleshed out, and yeah, just very nice to have it. Doesn't matter how many times you read a Pratchett novel, you always notice something new. You do. His attention to detail is exquisite. Hogfather is one of my favorite ones. The ones about death, I really love those. Classic. And of course, Tiffany Aching. Tiffany Aching are probably my favorite series of Pratchett. They are so... It is so deeply obvious. I imagine to anyone who grew up in similar settings as Pratchett, even more than. But if you grew up poor, if you grew up a little bit rural, if you grew up, you know, in rural settings or in small villages where, you know, gossip talks and it's a specific kind of culture, you see how much he knows and cares about these things and about these characters, and how small misunderstandings become big things. And I love the Tiffany Aching books. I came to them a little bit late, but I love how he just understands when he writes children, and yeah, I find it amazing. You know, that process of Tiffany going from being a child to becoming a teenager to becoming more of an adult. You see that he gets it, and in no way is it condescending at all. It's just understanding, and I love it. I haven't reread Hog's Father for this season. I should do that. I have it in a bookshelf sitting waiting for me. Let's see, as far as I know, Santa Claus brings you gifts because the actual Nicholas of Myra allegedly brought gifts to poor people. Ah, that makes sense. I haven't read up on those things in a long while. I've been looking at older myths and legends, which is also lovely, and to see, you know, the different reasons why we have things that we still have today based on really old things, and how everything is just influenced and inspired by each other. Like, I think was it Greek or Roman, who had very specific eating systems. And for instance, pork and fruit, which we know from minced meat in the UK, and other kinds of like pork and apple, pork and dried fruit, pork and like sweeter things. And in Norway, in large part of the country, a Christmas meal is still, you know, a side of, I guess, the ribs of pork. And in my family, at least, we grew up with, when it's done, you know, the nice, the crispy skin on the side, you decorate it with prunes and tangerine boats. And that mixing of pork and fruit is so old, and yet somehow here we are still doing it, and I find that so fascinating. Miss Megan Beckett says, it finally had a proper snowfall where I live after a very long, unusually warm fall, so it finally feels like it's actually winter here. Terry Pratchett's books are wonderful? Yes, I do very much agree. We have a little bit of a cold spell right now, so our snow has actually stayed, knock on wood, and let's see if it actually stays that way. I'm gonna mute for a moment for a spouse dropping by. Well, not dropping by, but walking past. Jävlar. You good? Hello. Hello from the Pacific Northwest of the United States. What are people working on? Sipping anything cozy? I am actually only sipping water today because I have been working up until the start of the stream. I almost ran late. So I didn't have time to brew another thermos of tea, and I drank all of it during the day. So it is but water, but it is still very nice. Yes, are you actually stuck in the box? In the last office box that I have not unpacked? Because the lid closed on top of you. Excuse me for a moment, I'm gonna go see if my child actually needs rescuing, because she's been chirping for a moment. Gonna be ads, sorry. Give us a moment. Hello? Are you stuck? The youngest madam was indeed stuck in the cardboard box she willingly jumped into. It's a little moving box with some of my last office stuff, and it has, 2 flaps. So it looks like it's stable, but when the cats jump on it, it falls like a trapdoor, and Soot just jumps out again because she knows if it is untrustworthy one way, she can also like poke at it and get herself out again. But Embla, alas, is not quite as tenacious as Soot, so she will just cry for help, which I admire. I admire a person who actually knows to cry for help. It's not something I'm very good at, but Embla does it. So I guess we can all learn from that. Opening used tea bags and coffee pads to get all the stuff out for enriching the soil in my garden. That sounds lovely, Joanna. And hi Alex, a very merry St. Nicholas evening to everyone who is participating in the celebrations. Indeed, we have been talking about good old St. Nick's. It's nice to see more people celebrating. Enrique says, my family always followed the Nisse diet on Christmas Eve. No ribbe, pinnekjøtt or torsk for us. We had rice porridge for Christmas dinner, as that was the tradition from our old family farm. Oh, I actually hadn't heard of that. I know a lot of people have rice porridge for lunch. And a lot of people also have rice porridge, on tiny Christmas Eve, as we call it in Norway, the day before Christmas Eve, so that they had enough cold rice porridge with which to make rice cream on Christmas Eve, which is a very famous dessert. And I live with someone who is very serious about the rice cream and would gladly omit Christmas dinner and just go straight for dessert, which I think is a bit much, but but I love the cod, the torsk, the fish for Christmas Eve. I love pinnekjøtt too, which is a sheep ribs that have been dried, sometimes smoked, depending on your tradition. Then you steam them. They are delicious. I love them. But I had a grandmother who had a bit of a sensitive tummy, so she couldn't have pork. So on the fantastic Yule nights when we were celebrating with them, we got fish. Either cod or, not salmon, but the other one that I can never remember the name of, but also has red flesh, like a whole one baked in the oven, and it was my favorite. It's so good. Reading about Tiffany Aching, have a second and third and fourth thoughts was mind-blowing and super comforting for me as a child. That is amazing. Yeah, I only read them as an adult, but I imagine I would have found them deeply, deeply comforting as a child to finally feel understood by someone in book form. That was so important to me. It was so impactful. So I can imagine that having a really strong impact on someone growing up, getting to read them sort of at the same age as Tiffany. Sounds rather cozy, Anna. I'll see if I can get my hands on some porridge rice and do the same. Yeah, we struggled with that when we were in England too, that we couldn't get, because porridge rice is that very specific, very short-grained rice, and we could not get it in London, or at least I didn't know what else it was called, because in Norway it's just called porridge rice, and we couldn't find any porridge rice in the UK. I tried risotto rice because it is also short grain, but the flavor was not correct. But I wonder if maybe it is glutinous short grain rice, which I can get, and I actually have a bag of in my basement at the moment, so I'm curious if that is the rice, or if it is something else. I'm unpicking some quilting squares that I accidentally sewed together wrongly. Oh no, but it's good that you have some company while you're unpicking. I always find it easier to undo things that have happened if I have someone else to listen to. Are you and the kiddos enjoying Pocket Savon? Not yet. In about half an hour, I'm enjoying a little time to myself before the fun begins. That sounds like a good choice to get a little bit of a breathing room before festivities. That was something that was happened in my family, and it happened for quite a while. We did not have a dishwasher for most of my childhood. It was something that came when I was a teenager, and it was a very strict rule. Because in Christmas, in Norway, we do Christmas Eve, not Christmas morning, so the 24th, not the 25th. Or you know, the winter solstice on the 23rd. And when we had dinner, you had to do all the dishes before there would be any, cakes or like dry cookies or gifts or anything of the sort. All the dishes had to be done and cleaned and everything tidied away. And it could be quite an ordeal, but it was nice to have a bit of a distraction from all the eating. But that was something we did in our house that I grew up with, that, everything had to be cleaned and done. And it was such a difference when we had a dishwasher one year and could load the dishwasher and put it on, and there weren't so many dishes left to do by hand. It was kind of strange. But yeah, that was something that we did. In Germany, both the dish and the rice itself are called milk rice. Ooh, interesting. I have not heard of that either. Alex is going to do a little spinning with the precious free time. I wonder how it differs from sushi rice. From what I could tell, Catherine, mostly the flavor. There is something very different with the flavor. Like, I've tried making it. I haven't tried making it with sushi rice, I'll be honest, because it's more expensive, even than risotto rice, which is also not the cheapest kind of rice. It just doesn't taste right. That one pack of porridge rice that everyone gets in Norway, it's this old cardboard box that haven't changed their design in decades, and for good reason, because everyone recognizes it. It just has a specific flavor, and I haven't been able to figure out what rice it actually is, because there are so many different kinds of rice. But we are starting to explore other kinds of rice than basmati rice. I have some short grain glutinous rice in the basement. We have some red rice, some black rice. I am excited to get experimenting with different kinds of rice and have fun with it, because we like rice quite a bit, so having variety is also nice. When we lived in London, we picked the rice up at the Norwegian Sailors Church there. Oh, that is genius, Anna. I didn't realize the Norwegian Sailors Church had a shop. Do they have a shop? I thought they were mostly a social gathering place where you could meet other Norwegians and chat and hang out. That makes so much sense, though. I should have realized. I should have visited them. I never did. Working on spinning some nice blue mixed shades of wool and silk fibers as a fine thread for weaving on my drop spindle, and drinking a cup of Earl Grey tea with lactose-free milk. That sounds delicious. That sounds like a very cozy time of day indeed. I think porridge rice might be called arborio rice, because that's what is asked for in the rice pudding recipes that I've seen. I might need to check that out. I'm just really curious about what it is they put in these packets that I'm sure I can get at a international store. Not necessarily for cheap, I'm just curious about what the rice is actually called. My own spinning journey begins today. Ooh, exciting. I joined my local fiber guild and I'm getting a wheel to borrow. Exciting. How fun to be here for the first time someone starts a craft. I also have a supported spindle in the mail thanks to some notable influences here on YouTube that may or may not be here in this chat. I have a suspicion they are referencing you, Jente, that you are encouraging or nothing like influencing people to buy fun new spinning tools, potentially. The sushi rice, let's see, is sort of mild and thin in flavor, so probably not it. Sounds sort of like barley, which is not rice, but is distinct and nutty rich. Well, barley was the thing we would make porridge with before rice became a more common thing in like the 1800s. Barley was the thing you made Christmas porridge with. And I've tried to make that. It has a very different flavor. I have barley regularly. It's nice in stews and soups and things like that as a carb instead. Like, again, that was a carb we used along with peas before potatoes came along. It's very nice. Can be a little bit stubborn to cook, but it all works out. And yeah. Always good to hear more people are getting into spinning. Yes. This is a very fun little craft. Not one that I'm very good at. I only tried it the one time with Evie, but... Madams, are you hunting each other under my apron? That is not the vibes we are going for. The church had the typical Norwegian stuff as brown cheese, grøtris, waffle mix, Norwegian jams, etc. at sale in a corner. But that was back in 86, 87, don't know if they still do that. Interesting, we never went there. We just kind of, when we were home, we would bring with us things that we were missing, like porridge rice and brown cheese. Jente's influence strikes again, I know. Spinfluencing is the best kind of influencing. Yeah, I can agree with that. We always want to get people into other kinds of crafts. Oh, darlings, are you going to be very chaotic tonight? The red is sticking out a lot, being very visible against both the white and the dark, which I enjoy. Yeah, it's fun to see how something that is so widely celebrated has become, at least, hello, has so many different rituals all the same surrounding it. Madam, if you're going to be chaotic, you could potentially go elsewhere, you know, other places in the house that are much larger than my little workroom, and get some proper running going. I can't believe you got stuck in the box. I'm still... I'm in awe at your willingness to just give up and ask for help. Definitely not someone who would survive in the wild. What was that trend? Tell me your cat would not survive in the wild without telling me? That's the one. I'm also trying to learn how to use a drop spindle. Just got the supplies from my friend a couple of weeks ago. Ooh, exciting, Caroline. So many people getting into spinning. I love it. But I'm not hanging out with my friends in the other rooms. I know it is true. But Spouse is downstairs and they are a lot better at playing with you than I am. I suppose they kind of sabotage that for themselves, but they play with it. We have this wand with, you know, the string and the toy, and Spouse plays with especially Embla in such a specific way, and it's just her favorite way of getting played with, that whenever I try to do anything remotely similar, just does not entice her. I have tried to win the Miriam Adams affection, and I do my best when Spouse is away, but it is just not the same. Suit is much easier because you just hide the toy and she gets interested. Like, she wants to hunt and search and look for the toy. So as long as it is hidden behind a wall or something, she will be enticed. I've been admiring those fancy paper white circular items. Snowflakes, did your spouse make them? Spouse made one for me that is actually still packed down. That is a similar design. Do you know how they work, Catherine? I can show you, because these they found. I think we inherited them from someone. These are very clever. Let's see. This one even has a string, so you can hang it up. And on the other side, these are many pieces of paper that have been glued together. They have little magnets and a metal ring in the middle. So they're cut out. They look like this. It's just a simple little pointy arrow shape, and they're folded. It's a little bit hard to see, but they're folded like tubes, so that, you know, you have, let's see, like one section, a long point and a short point and a long point, and then they're glued together at this long point here, and then there are just a lot of repeats of the same thing. And then they put at the end, to make it foldable so that it stores better without breaking the sensitive paper flowers, they have magnets that are glued in these edges. So you just pop them together and there they are. There's so many variations, and Spouse made me a small one that I haven't packed out yet. That is in a box somewhere, because we still haven't unpacked all our moving boxes. And this is just a more complicated version of the same. But yeah, I think they're really cute. And they are just paper. They are very doable for anyone who wants to make such things. A lot of cats seem to ask their humans for help. I once heard from somebody that their cats would ask them to fix the weather. Rain or sun. I have heard a lot, especially, you know, people who have outdoor cats. We have a friend who told us the story about their little boy cat who would go to the terrace door, and they would open the door and it would be raining, and they would be disappointed, and then they would walk back into the house and walk over to the entrance door and ask them to open that door instead, because surely it couldn't be raining both places at once. That would just be too bad luck to have both the outsides be full of rain at the same time. They were not happy when they realized that it was indeed raining, both on one door and the other. Very rude. I've been spinning on a drop spindle for a year, and I'm struggling to adjust to a wheel. Having a good time though. Ooh, I believe you. A friend of mine found a Norwegian spinning wheel, which usually only has one treadle. But they found one where someone had made them two, so you could sit with both feet, and it was the smoothest thing I have ever used. That thing was well used. You could see the feet marks where this woman had been just spinning for hours and hours and hours. It was impressive, so beautiful, such good handiwork, not a squeak to be heard anywhere. Marianne says, my cat wants me to stop the cold outside. How can she monitor the birds if she can't go on the balcony? Yeah, I know, it's hard. I'm thinking of getting a cat or two again. I've had a cat for most of my life. Last year my cat that I had for 16 years died, and I think I'm ready for a or two new cats. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Alex, but I'm glad to hear you are feeling ready for maybe introducing another friend or friends into your life. I think if we got more cats, not at the moment, but if these passed away when they do, or if we get a place where we have the energy and the spoons to potentially take in more, I think we would want to go for a bonded pair or a pair of kittens that could, take care of each other and play with each other and entertain each other. Because Embla and Soot play in very different ways. Like Soot wants to play, not fetch, system, tag. Tag is the word. She likes to play tag, like where you run across the floor and then the other cat chases and the other cat chases, and there isn't a lot of fighting. Whereas Embla is a lot more fond of play fighting, which Soot grows tired of very fast. And Embla has not understood the game of tag properly yet. She doesn't understand why there isn't also rustling and hustling running around. To be honest, I could use a cute cuddly cat right now. Life has been quite hard for the last couple of days, weeks. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, Alex. Maybe it's ready to help another furry friend that can in turn help you have some unconditional love, just hanging out. Pets are amazing. Animals are amazing. They're just so easy to love. So elegant and clever, the paper stars. Our region has a simplified version of those, no magnets. And crepe type paper, but still a feeling of fancy metal clips that fold over to hold them open or shut. Interesting. Kathleen says, hello all. Thank you for the comforting time and gentle chaos. Yule history, crafting and musing. Hope to catch the next crafting time. Have a good one, Kathleen. Hopefully we will see you again sometime in the future. My cat has a button for the balcony. Outside he presses and yells. I open the balcony door, it is still December. He goes inside and presses all done until I confirm I understand he's upset. Poor kitty. It's hard dealing with the seasons. Although, this one, cute as she is, she loves weather. Like, she really loves, when we had a catio where we used to live, we're gonna build a catio here too eventually, but it'll be spring and summer again before we get to that. We had a little roof over the entrance to it, and then they had a larger space where they could run around. And Soot loved when there was a lot of rain, a lot of snow, a lot of weather, to sit under the little roof all snuggled up into a ball and just experience the weather and look at the weather and just sit there and like feel the weather. I have not seen a cat who enjoys that as much as she does before, but she clearly enjoys sort of that experience of just, yeah, feeling the world do things. Thank you for the lovely Christmas music going on in the background. Yeah, it was a little bit risky because I had it on my to-do list today to go through and make a Yule playlist for you all. But I have been working almost up until we started streaming. So I just took my folder of Yule and winter music and I just threw it into a playlist, and I'm hoping that it's not too weird a volume or anything and that it works. But usually I listen through everything and sort of, not proofread, but I quality check to make sure it all fits with the vibes of the live stream. But this time I did the risky thing. But it's good that you enjoy it, that it is not too much. We have 4 cats and they all have their own personalities and ways, very like my children. They all grew up the same, but they're still so different. They have so different personalities. We've had 3 cats. Our first one, Enya, we adopted her specifically because, like, we love cats, we love pets, but we were a little bit unsure if the, getting a pet sitter, traveling, if that would be too influenced by having someone to take care of. So we wanted to do a test run. So when the local shelter had a 12-year-old lovely senior cat who got returned to the shelter because their owner had to go into a care home and none of her children could take care of her, I just felt so bad for this old lady cat who came back to the shelter after, 12 years of living with this lady and having a peaceful senior citizen life to a much more chaotic life. So we just ended up adopting her. And of course we knew she was going to pass away in not too many years. We hoped we would have her for longer, but by the time she passed away, we had already adopted baby Soot. And then, of course, when Enya passed, we wanted another so they could keep each other company. But had we known about lonely kitten syndrome at the time, where if you get a kitten by themselves, they might develop some unfortunate play habits and things like that, we would have adopted 2 kittens rather than just 1. Even if we hoped Soot would be a playmate, but next time, if we adopt kittens or a bonded pair, we're definitely going for a pair. Unless it's a lonely kitten that needs help, but they should usually be introduced to another litter, as far as I understand, if at all possible. Hello, Lynn. Welcome. We are having all sorts of Yule talks and kitty talks and all the cute things. By the way, if anyone is looking for beautiful Christmas music, I would like to recommend To Drive the Cold Winter Away by Lorena McKennett. Oh, they are lovely. They have a lot of good music. I'm not sure I've heard that specific one, so I might need to check that one out, Joanna. That sounds very nice. Ooh, I'm halfway through my cup of water already. I got my thermos and filled it with cold water, and it's out of reach. Because I now have a madam on my lap again. Shall see how long I will survive. There she is, all red. Do we have a small seam where I can use this? Already, basically thread chicken. Piece of thread. One of my other cats loves to be outside and not care of the weather and kills his prey directly, as even catch a bird on the 3rd floor apartment. Now I only take him outside in a harness. Yeah, I can understand that. Ours managed to catch a bird on a balcony without any space to hide or leap from. Like, what did you do? So they have catios for their own safety and also for the safety of the birds. Because you are a very good hunter. We would rather you didn't decimate the local ecology, Much as I love cute little murder machines, I don't want you to wreck the local bird life, I'm sorry. There'll be toys and laser pointers and food enrichment for you. He does not want me to follow and he wants to be free, but I live too close to a large road? Yeah, that can also be very challenging. Lynn's been horribly sick for most of the week, so this is a welcome respite. I'm sorry to hear that, Lynn. I hope you are starting to feel a little bit, if not better, then at least like that we can offer a little bit of comfort. Hopefully. We are about to have some ads again, which if you are new here, we pause for ads. We just chill out, have a drink, and wait for people to come back, so you don't miss anything when you get ads. Don't worry about that. On that note, I shall mute myself again, and I think we shall get another throat soother. This is still not snacks. I know it sounds like a candy bag, Embla, but it's not cat candy, it's licorice. And you smelled it, and she has the most hilarious reactions. Like when she smells something she does not like, she will physically jerk her head back as far as she can go without moving her body, whereas Sip just goes, nah, not for me. But Embla just goes, thum, straight back. It is very cute. He was inside and caught the bird through the window. Oh my goodness, that is... yeah, I could totally see this one doing that as well, if she had the opportunity, though we try to limit the opportunities to such adventures. Oh, correction, I meant the Lorena Mechanic album, A Midwinter's Night's Dream. Ah, I have heard of that one. That is a good one. Oh, I'm sorry, madam. I don't think the mute worked. I could still hear you. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to rustle so loud in everyone's ears. Apologies. As long as I didn't remute myself. The audacity, I know. The audacity of rustling something that sounds like a snack bag and it not being a snack bag, at least not for the cats. It's just very, very rude. Almost unforgivable. I know I shouldn't, but thread chicken is just so enticing. That scrappy heart of mine just loves trying to use as much of a resource as I possibly can without wasting anything. Just can't help it. No problem, was just saying because you might not realize and say something you don't want us to hear. I try not to do that on stream, but I mean it could happen, absolutely, especially if spouse popped by and needed a question answered urgently, but it's good to get a heads up about such things. Ooh, we are thread chickening a little bit too close to the sun. I'm not sure we are going to finish this, even if it is a short edge, with this technique without some creative problem-solving skills, aka rethreading our needle multiple times, or maybe... no, I don't... Ooh. One more. Just... can we do, I think, what, 3 more stitches till the edge? One more? Ooh. Always thread chicken a little too close to the sun. Ah, there she popped up, but it was the last one, so I'll take it. Now we just need to get her fastened. Sorry, The third chicken is very distracting. Yeah, okay, no dice. Let's unpull again and... It would help if I could see my own eye of the needle. Both threads, please. Oh. Madam. Got it. Success. You dare present me with something I do not like? Yes, I asked to see it. The affront is something that for me exists. Yes, that is very much Embla. She wants to sniff all the things and then is greatly offended when it isn't delicious. Especially if it is something that Soot likes. Because Soot is a fruit bat. She loves fruit. She will have watermelon, especially watermelon. That's how it started. We were sharing a little piece of watermelon with her and it went down so fast. She loves it. And we would try some other melons, you know, cucumber, other melon-like things, strawberries, sometimes even apples. Like, she just gets a tiny, tiny piece. But she loves it. And of course, since Soot is having something, clearly it must be cat snacks or cat foods. Embla will come running over, demanding to know what Soot is having that she isn't getting. Surely she must get it. And then she sniffs it, reels back violently, and looks at Soot like, "What are you eating?" Is greatly affronted that it is not for her, and it is hilarious every time. Anyways, I have to go. The kids want toys. Have a good one, Alex. I hope you have a good time. Have fun with that. Let's try some of the pink. Wait, where did the rest of my red go? I've been unpacking and tidying my room while listening on returning to check the video. I am delighted to see the return of Cat Cam. Yes, we try to have it on, but I mean, cats are their own creatures, so it is at the whim of their moods. You see, she has slid quite a bit far down. I don't know if we can get a little bit more of her magnificence, but don't fall, please. But yeah, your public needs you, madam. Fruit cat? Yes, she is very much. We call her a fruit bat because she just loves. Watermelon season is her favorite. We will not be eating watermelon unless she gets a little piece, because clearly it is a snack for her. And do you people know Holly Morocco, a wildlife rehabber with a focus on beavers? Seeing her wards eating fruit and veggies is so cute. Ooh, I haven't seen that specific one, but I have seen a lot of videos of bats in rescue eating fruits, and they are intensely adorable. Just animals eating fruit vigorously in general are enormously cute. We love to see enthusiasm in any creature, not just humans. It is just fantastic. But yeah, fruit bats they have those little cheeks just super stuffed with fruits, and it's adorable. I imagine beavers would be super cute as well. Soot also snores, and they are the cutest little snores you ever did hear. Where it's just barely a little cute chaff, as we talked about, and I love it. She draws the line at vegetables. She does. Vegetables are not snacks. Oh, sorry, Soot also draws the line at vegetables. There were more to the story, I just can't read. Milo has starting demanding a taste of all human foods lately, and as she's getting old, I let her. Well, what hasn't got onion, garlic, chili, it's salt, etc. Yeah, I know, same. She never used to like anything but meat, but she draws the line at vegetables. That is adorable. Yeah, no, I have tried to make some different meats for our cats, and they're not actually super big fans of, I mean, chicken, obviously, clean chicken, but I once was making, we got a whole fish on sale, so I was boiling it up. I had been cleaning the fillets out, so I was boiling the bones and the head into broth. And I thought that the cats would like a little bit of fish. So I offered it to them, and they did not want a red fish. Thank you. Kindly give us white fish, mother. This is not cat food. Which I thought was hilarious. In beavers, you can also hear the enthusiasm. Oh, I love it. It's so cute. Have you seen, this is not fruit eating related or beaver related, but Spouse was showing me on TikTok a deaf cat who, because a lot of deaf cats and deaf children too, or like deaf people in general, can be very loud because they never need to learn to modulate. And this cat made the cutest snoozing, waking up, having a good time sounds because they can't hear it. So this is super, super loud. And it was their name Oliver or something? It was a little deaf cat, and their human would just leave the camera on while they were sleeping to catch these adorable moments. And my goodness, so cute. It's so loud. My madam is not that loud, but she is very cute. I love it when you can hear the enthusiasm. Opossums have the sweetest teeth, and they smack so loud chomping it down. I love it. Animals do so many fun things, like cows playing with enormous rubber balls in the field, having fun. Like, play in animals is so charming. Crows sliding on jam jar lids down, snowy rooftops in play and then flying right back up to have another go. Dogs going sleigh riding. I love it. Why are we having knots? That is not very polite. Kindly return to a knotless configuration. Thank you. Have you seen the cat that tries watermelon and just chew on the green, and then the cat reaching the red bit on the watermelon and the eye goes poof? And get the largest pupil like that cat was hunting? I did see it. It was very, very cute. So it got to start with the red bit, so she knows that's the good bit, and still, even though she starts with the good bit, she will, if you hold the peel for her, she will, I usually cut watermelon into long thin strips. It's easy to eat. And she will lick from the top all the way down into the green as far as she can go, until we take it away almost. She will go all the way. It's something else. She really loves watermelon. It is adorable. These cross stitches are not the neatest, but chaos. All for the chaos goblins. I do wonder, because we've had this mouse for a few years, but we have never put it anywhere the cats can reach it. I'm curious if it will survive. We have a squirrel as well that the cats are always very interested in, that I wonder how it will survive this year. There are always some decorations that are more enticing than others. Do we need to get you a better tripod for the cat cam so they can see you properly? Maybe. I don't know. I don't even know where I would rig that. Shall have to have a think about that. I want to decorate for Christmas so badly. I didn't get to for the last 2 years. Even if it's just a tiny thing. Like, I ran around like a headless chicken, and this was done 15 minutes before live start because I'm not prepared at all. We have not properly started yet, and so I hear you. It can be a bit frustrating, but I hope you get to put up at least a little bit of Christmas joy, even if it's just a small thing. It doesn't have to be a big thing. Just something that brings joy to your world and doesn't take a lot of spoons to pack down again when the season is over. Although we do know about some people who celebrate Christmas all year round and just leave them out, so there's also that option. But I do like the joy of like changing things out a little bit, but not too much, because there's also the work of taking things down again after, which can be a bit and a half. Throwback to the topic of Christmas customs. Are any of you having incense cones in their home during Advent and Christmas? Here in Germany, they are the smell of Christmas. Norway does not have the incense cones, but we have. I actually have a tray of it over there, but I didn't put it out. We have, an incense burner, a little tea light at the bottom with a plate on top, a little bowl. And you put loose incense, so that will have things like myrrh, little pieces of, not amber, but, pine wood sap that can smell really nice, and you have pieces of maybe star anise and other spices, and it's a very warm, nice, lovely smell. I didn't turn on the candle for that. I think the ventilation here is quite good, so it actually doesn't smell over much, interestingly enough. Or maybe I just need to change out my incense and get a new one. Maybe it is old, getting on in years. So we don't have the cones, but we sort of have loose leaf incense, so to speak, where you pour out as much as you want and then you have a little tea light under it, so sort of roasty toasty. I don't think we use incense here, but I think some regions use pomanders. Oh yeah, pomanders, we have that too. I was thinking of making an orange pomander before the stream, but again, I have been very disorganized this week and not at all doing half the things I had intended to do, which is nothing new. But yeah, in Norway you have oranges and you stuff it full of cloves. Sometimes people do it in pretty patterns. Sometimes people do it as a calendar where they will start with a clean orange and they will tie a red string around it and they will put one clove for every day until Christmas Eve. But these days I think most people just decorate it with like stripes of cloves down the side of it, and they hang it in the window, and they are very pretty and very colorful. And I never made one, and I kind of want to, so because they are very pretty. And they're another one of those like fairly simple decorations, and if it dries out properly all the way, you can keep them for years and years should you want to. So in that way also a very frugal and biodegradable decor. Of course, now you have beautiful light shows on buildings and specific places, and also security perimeter. And yeah. Before Christmas, we have the Festival of Light here in Lyon, the 8th of December. Everyone puts lots of small candles in glasses at their windows, and you go out and go to the old town. Oh, that sounds lovely. It reminds me of a time when I was living in the Arctic, we had a power outage. Because that's what you want, midwinter in the Arctic, during the dark season, when you have the polar nights and no light, no power. And people did a similar thing. I mean, not Christmas related, but they put candles in all of their windows, and there were no street lights. And I was walking home from work, and I kind of wanted to pop into my room and go back out with my camera and take some pictures, because it was so unique. It was very cozy. You had all these stories of people in the cities, well, not cities, but like in the city that we lived in, you know. The buses couldn't take payment, but they could drive, so they would drive people where they wanted to go. The cafes couldn't take payment because the power was out, but people would just sit in the cafe and chat around the tea lights, and they just had a really good time. Sometimes I'm almost a little bit disappointed when the power comes back during a power outage too soon, because people get really, really cozy for a while at least. So long as it doesn't last for too long, and you do need the generators in the hospital to work and things like that. But as a child, I would always get a little disappointed if the power came back too soon, just as we were setting ourselves up with lights and maybe playing some board games or doing something that was not electric. There had such a different vibe. And I always found it very, very enjoyable, very cozy. Putting out lights is more associated with Totensonntag, Sunday of the Dead. Here it's more prominent in the Catholic parts of Germany, but some practice it in the Protestant parts too. It's on the Sunday before the first of Advent. You place candle jars on the graves of your loved ones so the graveyards would look very beautifully illuminated after sundown. Sadly, all my loved ones are buried in other cities. Oh, I'm sorry, Joanna, that can be rough. When everyone else are, reminiscing their passing. I think we have big traditions of that. I know a lot of people do go to light candles for their relatives who have passed on Christmas Eve, like in the morning. A lot of people do that. We never had a lot of those traditions in my family, so I'm not too sure, but I know some people do. I'm sorry, am I getting it in your eyes again? If memory serves, tonight is Krampus night. It's not my tradition, so I wouldn't know, but you might be correct about that, Kiraona. Many exciting Yule traditions to be had, and all sorts of cultural mix-ups, and just proof that traditions travel and people travel and stories change and adapt, and I find that so human. Everything just travels around and influences each other. Yeah, I know it's getting on your ears. It is the price of lap time. Need to go now, this has been cozy? Well, have a good one, Sofigov. Hope to see you again on your internet adventures some other time. If you should want to. Where is my stripe? There it goes. This fabric is so dark that I can't really see where the squares are, but we are doing our best. Sometimes I find when you're putting these kind of little guiding lines that you're kind of telling your brain where the squares are of the plaid, and brains are influenceable. Allehelgensdag would be our equivalent, and the Norwegian church observes that too in the end of November. Yeah, there is that. I haven't been with people who have observed it though, not for relatives though. There's always Christmas that was kind of the day when you remembered people who passed on, but maybe that differs from family to family and area to area. Are any of my Swedes here celebrating St. Lucia's Day? Not just Swedes, we celebrate that one in Norway too. On the 13th of December with the all-important lussekatter, or Lucia buns, that should be bright yellow and folded up into fun little spirals. I shall try to do that this year. We didn't do it last year because life was chaos, but it would be nice to do it this year. I was talking earlier today about Lucia buns are supposed to be yellow. They're like this little yeast dough, and you roll it out into a little log, and then you curl it up into traditionally what looks like an S, like you curl one way on one side and you curl the other way on top, and it becomes this little S. You can also put them on the same side and do different spiraling patterns and put two together, make a little butterfly, all sorts of fun little designs. But the important thing is in the center of the S or other curls, you put a little raisin and things like that, and then you glaze them with egg wash. So will you be wearing a crown of candles? I will leave that to the school children and kindergarten children to wear the crown of candles. Of course, when I was a child, it was actually a crown of candles. So these days it's a crown of electric candles for safety, but I ain't got none of that. I never wore the crown though, personally. I was only just walking after with a candle. What makes them yellow? Saffron. Traditionally, yes. I was getting to that, Lynn, because this is again just stories of class differences. You're supposed to dye them with saffron, but every working class person that I knew growing up, none of them actually used saffron. Everyone colored them with turmeric instead to get that yellow, because it's such a much cheaper spice. But the last 2 years, well, not the previous year, but the 2 years before that, when we actually made them, I have actually splurged on a pouch of saffron and made proper Lucia buns with saffron, and that soft, subtle sweetness of saffron is very lovely. I have to admit, it feels very indulgent, very luxurious to sort of do it the proper way. Never did that as a child, ever. Wouldn't even think to do it, because everyone around me always used turmeric. That was what you used. That was what you did, especially when baking with children and you're making a mess and all the things. We used turmeric too, Anna says. Yeah, everyone used turmeric. But it's been a luxuriant adult thing with own adult money to bake them with saffron, and it's something else. I've started using saffron a little bit, like I've inherited, like both my grandmother passed within the last 2 years, so I inherited quite a bit of stuff, and one of them was a very large, not sure if it's real or not, but quite a large box thing of saffron. It was very dusty, went out in the 90s. I've never let that stop me, because spices can keep. They are a bit dusty. They are not as flavorful, but it's saffron. Ain't nobody gonna waste saffron. So I've been using it in other dishes, like making Middle Eastern, like saffron rice. Sometimes I put it once, a little pinch, in a chicken soup that I made, and it was, yeah, it's such a subtle little flavor, especially when it's, 30 years old? Not the freshest, not the strongest of flavors to begin with, and then you have it old on top of that. But yeah, very rarely, but sometimes I try to use it, and it's a new flavor profile that I'm still getting used to. We are about to have ads, so little water break, my little Moomin cup. I think you should totally clothe yourself in a medieval outfit and wear a crown of candles and walk through your neighborhood and make a video about it. That could be interesting. Not sure the candles would survive. It's been some fell winds in this area, but it's a fun idea. We would have to make St. Lucia buns too, though. I'll be streaming Lucia for my friends. Saffron buns, oh my god, yes! Yes, if you have enough disposable adult income to try it and you are food curious, I do recommend giving it a go just to see what it's like. A lot of people recommend blooming the saffron in the milk if you're using milk for the buns, or the liquid if you're like liquid and oils or butter, so that it gets to know, like if you heat up the milk and butter or whatever liquids you're using, like put the saffron in at that stage so it gets to bloom and really, as Lynn is saying, saffron is such a subtle but complex flavor, and I very much agree with that statement. So letting it sort of bloom to its full effect so you get the most out of it. If you buy a tiny little pouch of a few little strands, make sure you really get the most out of it if you go that route. If you are able to. We used yellow food dye. Oh, interesting. The first time I tried real saffron, I was in love. So divine. I agree. It is something else. Sometimes we also use saffron if we're cooking Viking or medieval food, and it's amazing to me how, as Lynn said, it's really subtle but really distinct and complex. And even in dishes with other flavors, it still stands out. For being such a subtle flavor, it's amazing how much it manages to stand out. I find that really quite impressive. I bought 10 saffron crocus bulbs a year ago, but never got around to get them into the ground. Oh no! Don't know, maybe there's still hope. Didn't some archaeologists find some date seeds that they planted and see if they would grow? And they actually did. So we have like 1,000-year-old date palms growing. So you never know, maybe some of them. I mean, plants want to live, nature wants to live. Maybe some of them will surprise you. Now I want to try making them. And British Christmas puddings? Yes. I support curious culinary adventures. I think they can be a lot of fun. And St. Lucia Day, being the 13th of December, is this year auspiciously on Friday the 13th. Very good time for culinary adventures, I should think. Oh yeah, with saffron, I think the most cases, the best you can do is grind it in a pestle and then clean the pestle with your water or milk and then warm said liquid. Ooh, that's a good one to actually like crack it a little bit as well to just get the most you can out of it. I have a big mortar and pestle, and then I have a tiny porcelain one that would be very well suited because it's so small, so like the wastage would be minimal. Seeing Persians use huge quantities of saffron in cooking just makes my head explode and will it quiver in fear. Yeah, I can understand that. There was also all that fake saffron that people were selling that was not from the crocus bulb, but was like dyed because it's such an expensive spice. Of course, there's gonna be counterfeit or just people wanting to seem like they can afford saffron when they couldn't. So there is also that. That's where all the large bags and international stores come from, but still, seeing them just put a lot of real saffron in their rice and other dishes is just mind-boggling. Must be delicious, though. They all rotted? Oh, that's a sad, Anna. I hope you have other garden ventures that go better for you. The Persians probably had saffron grown locally and had enough of cheap labor to process them. I mean, historically, certainly they would have. And sometimes it's, a display of wealth if you're having guests too and want to be generous, like the properly yellow, gorgeous saffron rice. I haven't tried it, but it looks delicious. It must be so fragrant. We used yellow food dye when I was a child because mother wouldn't touch one of those fancy spices, turmeric, with a stick and was convinced we're allergic to saffron. We're not. I love Lussekatte. Sometimes it's good the things we can discover as adults that, seemed to be a big problem when we were a child was not actually a big problem after all. It can be very interesting, those experiences. I don't think we used turmeric for other things. I mean, sometimes we had curry, which, I mean, not proper Indian curry, but like the British, like a sort of sauce or stew with curry as a spice mix that you buy in the store that is bright yellow and full of turmeric and that very distinct flavor of curry spices, which is not authentic in the least. But sometimes we would have that, often over... This is going to sound awful, because my family had some unhinged food tradition. How do I even translate this without sounding rude? Norway has this little steamed white... They're not quite fish cakes, because fish cakes are pan-fried, but they are like little balls. And I don't really want to call them fish balls, but that's what they're called in Norwegian, so they're little white things. And you can buy them in a can, and sometimes we would have them. So we would make a white sauce, which is just... Oh, what's the name? It's not a roux. But it's just melting butter and flour and thinning it with milk and making a sauce out of that. And we would just add the curry spice to that white sauce. And then we would steam a whole head of cauliflower. And then we would put the fish balls, around. And you would pour the curry sauce over the steamed cauliflower and the fish cakes that had been steamed and warmed, and have potatoes on the side. Not sure other families had this dish. We had several interesting dishes that no one else has heard of. Fish cakes with pasta and tomato sauce comes to mind as well as something that we grew up with as totally normal, and if we had friends come over for dinner, they were shook at what on earth we were eating. It is delicious, as referring to saffron rice. Oh, I believe you. I have not had an opportunity to try it myself yet. I really must. It sounds delicious. My friend from Iran sends me saffron. Oh, it's cheap? No, it's not. Word. Oh, the prices, how they change when things get exported and travel. But still, cheap might be a stretch. Sauce Bernays? No, not quite sauce Bernays, because it's... that is a much more buttery sauce. Here you just take a tablespoon or so of butter and you melt it in a pan. Bechamel, that's the word, thank you. It's a bechamel, so we just call it white sauce, but it is also known in English as a bechamel. And you would just put curry, the spice, in that and turn it yellow. That was something we had for dinner occasionally. Our family was unhinged, y'all. I have to say. But we loved it growing up. It's easy, it's cheap, fills people up. I especially liked it with the steamed cauliflower, the sauce. Do recommend, but... Honestly, that sounds nice. Thank you. When you have other children come with you home and they have never seen it before, they often have They have much stronger reactions than more food-curious adults, because when we are children, we think that everything we experience is normal and what everyone else is doing is really strange. And it takes a while to develop that understanding that everything is grey and people can have very different experiences from ourselves. Fiskebullar, yes, exactly. Delicious. I love me some fishy food. Yes, we had the fish pudding in bowl form and curry sauce with cauliflower, potatoes, and carrots. Other people have the same food experiences. I think it came from a magazine or something, did it not? Or maybe it's just a tradition that I have forgotten. One of the 5 French mother sauces? Indeed. In Norwegian we also have brown sauce, which is very similar, but that is more of a roux, where you toast the butter first and you toast the flour too, and then you add broth instead of milk. It's very common to make it like that. But not for fish, because that is more for meat foods. But yeah, I'm glad to hear that someone else had this as well. I always felt a little bit lonely with some of our dishes. I have been just been blessed by a visit from neighbor's cat. Truly a Christmas miracle. Congratulations, relish in this most amazing moment of being blessed by the feline gods. Joanna also offers congratulations. How to go now with thanks for the stream? Have a good one. Hope you have a good time with the visitor from your neighbor. Yep, we did that too. Oh, did you, Catpaw? Never enough curry in the sauce to actually taste it. One of my family members did not like the curry, so we also we would just make it white unless they weren't home. And then we would the people who liked curry would sprinkle it on top of their sauce and mix it in on our plates, unless the person who didn't like it was not at home. Then we would have proper yellow sauce with lots of curry flavor in it. And that was always a little bit better because, I mean, it has had time to give it good flavors instead of sprinkling it on top. But, memories. I'm surprised to see more people having had that as a food. No one ever did, and when I grew up, no one else did have those same experiences. And here you are on the internet. Ooh, I have been stitching very askew. Whoops. Showing me that I was indeed not alone as a child. Wonders never cease. Honestly, I love how so many countries have developed their own curry traditions. That is a nice way of seeing it, Lynn. I like that approach. Not just I mean, it is also cultural appropriation, I suppose, but I mean, it's also traditions travel and patterns travel, and like the Hardanger rose, which is a very specific eight-pointed star or rose, whatever you want to call it, has a lot of similarities to a lot of Chinese design and might very well have been something that traveled with Chinese silks and patterns on them, and then people got inspired, like we always do. You see something pretty and you try to recreate something similar in your own crafts, and then you end up with something new and fantastic. I don't see any problem with that. Can't think of anything else we used curry spice in though. At least not at home. Because as I said, there was one person in our family who did not like the curry at all. So it was limited to the fish balls. But the steamed cauliflower was actually better. So good. Very good. And very dramatic when you have a whole head of cauliflower just on the plate instead of separating it before you serve it. My family has Christmas Eve dish that is uncommon for Germany. It is a rice with peas, raisins, pineapple, and almond slices, and then fried pig loin medallions and fried onion. I mean, it's a curry rice. Ooh, that sounds delicious though. Lots of fruit and nuts. And again, the pork and the fruit combination. Such a classic. It sounds delicious though, Joanna, I have to say. I love curry. My sister and mother despise it. Whoa, I am sad for their sake. More for you though. It's what we have learned to say when someone doesn't like something we love. It's just like, well, more for me. Like, I love Japanese curry, but it's so far removed. I hear you. But it works though, it's its own thing. So many things just travel and then become their own thing. Like, a lot of Norwegian homemade pizza is nothing at all like proper Italian pizza. For one, we don't do the good Italian thing of, a few select high quality ingredients. You just go, these are all things that I like. I shall dump them on top of the pizza and create a pile of food and then fry it in the oven. In a long, and we don't do round pizza either because that is inefficient, especially if you have a family. So you have your, baking tray that fits exactly in the oven. You fill the whole thing with dough, so it's rectangular, maybe more like an American deep dish, but not quite. I mean, it's not that thick. So you roll out your dough, fill it with stuffing and cheese and all of the things, and into the oven. And yeah, nothing at all like Italian pizza, but still very delicious. If my grandparents were there, we substituted the curry spice with nutmeg in the white sauce. That's what they prefer. Now that you mention it, Anna, we did that too. White sauce and nutmeg did happen quite a lot. Especially with fish, if memory serves. Nutmeg is very good. Okay, let's try not to play yarn chicken with all of the yarn. Here's a respectable tail that maybe... No, we couldn't convince it to go all the way through still. I know you're getting tired when your eyes are kind of not wanting to focus on things that are close. I feel like a badly optimized camera sometimes. Here we go. Come on. No, come. Seriously, again? Oh well. Third time's the charm. Chinese curry too? Ooh, I haven't seen that as much, but I believe you. Like, locals always adapting things to their local tastes and whatever they interpret from things traveling. But then you have to fight about crust, no crust? Yeah, I suppose. Yes, there was the middle sections that didn't have any crust. It depends. Usually when you have a big family, at least in ours, people have different preferences, so it all works out anyway. And it's pizza. It's not something you get very often because it's not the cheapest dish to make, even homemade, because of all the cheese and meat and all the stuff. But still, it was never a problem in our household of generally food-loving people. Nutmeg and bechamel is a classic combo. Yeah, it is delicious though. So good. Nutmeg in many things. They're very good. I feel like a lot of the warm spices that you often like see in things like pumpkin spice are undervalued in other things that aren't sweet. I know it's medievally, like back in medieval times, it was known as like sweet spices, because they were traditionally used in sweeter dishes, but I have started using more of them in dinner dishes as well, like curries and soups, and it really adds another depth of flavor that is delicious, sweetie. Can you come any closer? If you melt into my skin, will you be close enough then? Crocus are some of the first flowers blooming, so maybe they have more agricultural workers with spare time who cannot yet work in the fields because of the wet spring weather, but can collect the flowers. I don't know. I don't know a lot about saffron growing other than that it's very hard and tedious work. But it's still... Vanilla too is a very labor-intensive spice to grow, much as it is widespread, although a lot of the things that have vanilla flavors, of course, isn't full of vanilla at all, but use vanillin from pine trees. But it's still interesting. Spouse finds that they cannot have vanillin after they had COVID because it just tastes so metallic, which is super interesting how flavor profiles change with time. And sometimes with specific illnesses. The saffron crocus flowers in autumn though. Oh, does it? Interesting. I think it's work mostly done by women. I seem to remember that too from like a documentary. I think it was Business Insider who had their like, why is it so expensive documentaries. that they do on YouTube that I quite enjoy, I have to admit. When they do those series about, big batches, or why is it so expensive, or still standing. Those, I like those. They're well made. I was very surprised to see nutmeg predominantly used in sweet things internationally. It is very much a savory spice in my food culture. Oh, I love to hear that. The different people have different spice associations. And I get it too, because nutmeg is such a nice, warm spice. It fits in many things. Hello. And cinnamon too. Cinnamon can be very, very nice in like a chicken soup, along with jujubes or Chinese red dates and star anise and nutmeg. Oh, there are so many delicious combinations. Darling, you are a pretzel. Crocus flowers only yield 3 stamens per flower, needs to be handpicked, thus the expense. Yeah, it's so much work. You watch all of those as well? Yeah, I like them. There's a theory about how the cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves, allspice combination have been picked for on years because they're often women's flavors and something women in the kitchen. And something women in the kitchen. Fun. Yeah, I know. Anything that women enjoy, or teenage girls especially enjoy, yet to be seen as silly and frivolous, and anything men enjoyed is not so much so, just like how men buying games and football game tickets and TV stuff and computer stuff is not frivolous spending, but women going shopping as a hobby is. So many hidden things that people don't think about, but yeah, especially young women enjoying things like a band, being fangirls and just behaving like teenagers, somehow seen as a bad thing, when it is not. It is just normal teenage behavior. And I have a very cuddly little madam. Is it time for the nook of the arm snuggles, where it's very hard for me to do anything because you're just curled up? I think they just work well together. They do that too, and they're a really old combination too. I mean, even before they got to Europe, but I mean, the medieval age was very fond of them. Water? Yeah, it's just water. There is some spice I can't quite identify that is in the mutton curry at a restaurant I love to go get takeout from that reminds me of something that might also be in a dessert, and it is so delicious. Joanna suggesting tamarind, I don't know, but I mean, they do have a lot of complex flavors that can be difficult for us to pick out if we're not used to using them ourselves, especially when they are in combination. But I was amazed the first time I used jujubes, so because I've been watching Yon Kung, or Jonathan Kung, who became popular during the pandemic with their TikTok videos and now has a very successful YouTube channel as well, and they make delicious food. They're like experienced chef just doing amazing things, and they had showed me these red Chinese dates that have nothing at all to do with, regular dates. And I tried them and I put them in a chicken soup, and it just added more, to me, Chinese associated spices, or Asian, like star anise and cinnamon, and before I knew it, spring onions, ginger, a little bit of chili. Before I knew it, it had a flavor that was approaching, a packet of chicken noodles that you buy, just those cheap packets. And it was the jujubes that made it like, oh, I see now where that flavor profile comes from. And I was amazed that I'd never realized that I could get something even approaching that at home, and there it was. So many fun discoveries. I once ate food from Bangladesh and there was also something in it that I thought might be in a dessert. I think they may have used cinnamon or something similar, or aniseed. Ah, yeah, so many good combos. Cinnamon is good in many things, I have to say. It adds a warmth and a sweetness to dishes that I come to enjoy quite a bit. Thank you for the company. Well, thank you, Kelly, for joining us. I hope you have a good rest of your time. I mean, I don't think we shall stay up too much longer. I don't want to strain my voice that is a little bit tired, but we shall still finish this thread and the inevitable game of thread chicken, which I shall win, clearly. We have quite a lot of pink here, and we're just gonna finish this one line, and then we're gonna do something else with the rest of it, because then I have a new choice to make. We didn't get to use the white. What is time? But I mean, talking about spices and food traditions is a very interesting time. I need to make up another batch of chicken soup. They are quite frugal and nice. Something I use a lot of is dried cranberries. I tried it to replace barberries in curry rice cake. And now I throw it into scrambled eggs, fried rice, etc. I recommend. Ooh, I haven't tried that. That sounds very interesting. But I know that there's a lot of... There was a time when we would have quite a bit of couscous and bulgur and that kind of cracked wheat with a lot of dried fruits and spices, and it is so delicious. I can really see how that flavor profile would work in a rice dish as well. It's all the things I want to make, and it's just the right season for all those warm spices too, so maybe we shall have to get going with that. Once we had a Christmas dinner, I made orange glazed carrots. They were delicious. Such a simple but impactful combination. It is a Pakistani restaurant, I think. I'm not sure if it's a specific national food restaurant, but it's definitely a regional cuisine from the area surrounding that country. Oh, the mystery of the mutton. Dried cranberries are so expensive here. Ah, that's a shame. Yeah, there's a lot more raisins in Norway, are a lot easier to get than any of the others. Although we do sometimes splurge on dried apricots too, just as a snack. They're so delicious. Winning is the only option when you play thread chicken? Yes. So, if we want to win, what is a good last seam with this length of thread? I too like to live dangerously, so now I have no more water. If I get a coughing fit, that's where the stream will end, I guess. I want to put it down here, but I don't have a lot of seams left down here to do. We are getting somewhere. This tiny region doesn't have a seam. We shall remedy that. Ooh, we are about to have another little ad break in a moment, so that gives me a moment to fasten this thread. Two beans. Apricots in tangine. Ooh. I need to make me some of that. They are gorgeous. In Norway there are so many cuisines that don't have restaurants like where you can get the authentic experience, so I'm very often left to just experimenting on my own, which when you haven't traveled to the place and had the experience of tasting the food, or at least gone to a restaurant that has the thing you're trying to recreate, you're like, well, it tastes good. I don't think it's even close to what the dish is supposed to taste like, but it tastes nice. So I always have to remind myself that the real deal would be very different, but we have found a dish that is tasty, that we enjoy, so that's a win. Sorry, different topic, but I just looked at the beautiful black kitty and had to think of Busted, and then I remembered a YouTube channel called Das Carlos that has a video series where he plays Minecraft Skyblock and builds temples to all the Greek gods. If you like to watch something cozy in combination with Greek mythology and Minecraft, go check it out. He has turned the series into a movie. Wow, that is very dedicated. This sounds like a lot of fun. See, apricots are insanely expensive here. I bought a few to make coronation chicken. It'll be a once a year thing. Ah, yeah. Some foods are like that. Like you find something you really like and you can't really buy it that often because hard to get. There is a drop left for me. It's going to be very confusing to the eye because there's a pale lavender purple as stars in this section, and I'm putting a light pink right next to it, so it'll be like you are alike but also not. They grow cranberries in some areas of Canada, so they are quite common and not expensive here, but I agree they are so delicious. Yeah. It's difficult when you find foods that you really enjoy and they're exported and imported from far away, and it's difficult to get a hold of them. In Scandinavia, you can mostly find lingonberries instead of cranberries. You can. I'm not too used to finding lingonberries dried, though. They're usually frozen. Then you stir them with sugar and have it as a side dish instead of cranberries. They are delicious. Very fond of them. Also cloudberries and bilberries and all the other berries. Very big fan of berries. And so many delicious types just hanging out in the wild in Norway. I love it. When I went to Morocco, our host family once made a chicken tagine with lemon, green olives, almonds, and chicken liver. And honestly, recreating that recipe is my absolute life goal. That sounds amazing. Just hearing you list the ingredients, it sounds delicious. I can't imagine what actually tasting it would be like. Oh, bliss. Also from Canada, so easy to get apricots when they're in season here. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I've heard of a few intrepid farmers growing apricot trees in Norway, not on a commercial scale, but like you had a seed in the compost pile and the compost pile was warm enough because of the fermentation going on with the compost that it survived, and it was also on the south-facing wall and close to somewhere where it didn't get a lot of wind, and it was a very, very warm microclimate, and that one tree just happened to survive. And some people put them in greenhouses. They do not survive in the wild here. Cloudberries? Poor cat paw, deprived of all the berries. One of the few berries, or I suppose the only berry, to be enshrined in law in Norway because they are like yellow gold, so valuable to farmers that they are actually protected. Cloudberry is so good. Yes. Very good in Christmas, in like one of the crispy Christmas cakes with a little dollop of cream and just simple. So many delicious things. Shall we do another row down here? I still haven't done this. Oh yeah, I have it in red actually. This long row down here I was going to do in a single color, but I guess we started it in red. So maybe it'll just be a disjointed thing after all. We shall see. Or maybe I'll just do it in red. Maybe that's what I'll do in red, this whole. I don't know if you can see this, but I have this pin-tucked little section that I've embroidered all the way around the sides, but I haven't actually embroidered sort of the half moon shape. That is the pin-tucked section. So I thought that would have one color, and maybe I just decided to do it in red. If I remember what my plan was, because that is not always the case. And if I put this down now, because the stream is ending, there is the very real chance that I'm going to forget that I had a plan. But I still hope people are having a good time. Food shenanigans or no food shenanigans. Wild blueberries are the most delicious to my taste, but they are expensive and so small that they are solid frozen unless you can get them in season by going on a road trip to Quebec where they grow. Yes, in Norway we have bilberries, which I always translated to blueberries when I was younger because that's what we call them in Norwegian. And sometimes I still do, just out of principle, because they are our blueberries too, and they are tiny and they are delicious. And European bilberries, unlike American ones, are dark blue and purple all the way through. Whereas the big American ones, maybe that's not what you're talking about if you're far north, but are white inside, and ours are like, they're so rich in flavor. It's a similar flavor profile, but like deeper, more, and just more intense. And both are delicious, but I do have a thing for it. The bilberries of Norway's, and they're very easy to pick when they're in season, because they're everywhere. You could pin a piece of red thread to the area. Maybe, Lynn. Maybe I could do that if I was any sorts of clever. In Germany we have Christmas cake called Lebkuchen. They come in different qualities, but the best ones are the Nürnberger Eisenlebkuchen, and they consist of at least 25% nuts. Ooh, wow. Then there is edible paper on the bean them, but never actually tried them. Hello. If you ever manage to get those, do so. I hope to try. I've been to Germany only once. I was invited to present at, not a conference, but like a meeting, a scientific meeting of oil spill experts. We were in Hamburg, but it was only for a few days. That's the only time I've been, and it was a lot of fun. Very nice. I hope to go back one day. We shall see. I travel less and less. I just get more homebound. Are you talking about blueberries or bilberries? Called blueberries in Scandinavia. Exactly. That's the confusion, isn't it? I try to call them bilberries when I'm talking about Scandinavian blueberries, because otherwise everyone gets confused. But a lot of people get confused anyway because. But yeah, in Norway we have bilberries, but we still get imported American blueberries, at least in recent years, so we get both. So you'll find the Scandinavian ones in the frozen aisle usually, except for a very short season, and the American blueberries available for a lot longer. So people can have fresh berries on their cake. Especially on the Norwegian Constitutional Day on the 17th of May. People like to make cakes that look like little flags, so then you need, similarly to American colors, you need red, white, and blue. And blueberries are often the one of choice, and of course in May, it is far too early for Norwegian bilberries to be available fresh. Then the American blueberries are often the popular choice, along with strawberries, because the raspberries would not have come in season yet. I love Lebkuchen. I made my own a few years back because I was craving them so much. Aww. They sound delicious. Bilberries are so good, but I dislike American blueberries. Interesting. We don't buy fresh berries very often because they're expensive. Until the strawberries come into season and the spouse goes wild for strawberries, Norwegian ones. We get a few of them frozen, and we do go berry picking sometimes to have in the freezer, which is a very nice way of stocking up. So it becomes a very seasonal thing. But so much fun to go in the forest and just eat and pick and have a good time. I thought Norwegian blåbær was the US huckleberry, but all of those different blueberries confuse me. I don't think it is. At least in the UK, they are called bilberries. Huckleberry. Not Huckleberry Finn, but... it does look similar. But we do have several different types that are... I don't think they're quite the same. But then again, I am getting pictures of a lot of very different plants that all return the search word for huckleberry. So I don't think I can answer anything because I have the first 5 pictures are all of very different berries, very different botanical families. You have something that looks like black currants. Then you have one that looks like elderberries, and then you have one that looks a little bit like American blueberries. They're very big and in very large clusters, which bilberries don't usually grow in. And then you have some red ones. And then there's these that I couldn't even tell you, maybe aronia? All in the first 5 pages. So I can't really tell you whether huckleberries that you're thinking about are like Norwegian bilberries or not, because this is the messiest search I have ever conducted. Are there that many different brands of huckleberries, or are they a nickname? Are they a very local name? Because I know there are some Norwegian berries that have very large regional variances for their names. They generally don't have mismatched names, but like in one region they will be called one thing, and in another region they will be called something completely different, and then people get very confused when you talk about it. If shipping costs weren't so expensive, I would send you a packet. Yeah, I know. Shipping, especially big items overseas, is it gets very money, indeed. I lost my child. Then you shan't have a cat cam either. It requires a cat to be a cat cam. The big blueberries that are farmed in the United States are different than the wild blueberries that are grown in the boreal forests of Canada, and I think the wild version tastes better, more flavor. That is very common, I have to say, though, that the wild variety has more flavor than the domesticated one, because something has to give whenever we domesticate something. So wild is so often so delicious. I grew up with Achner Printen, which are another kind of Lebkuchen from the very western part of Germany. So many interesting food traditions. They are also very tasty. I love the small honey crystals inside. Oh, that does sound delicious. Yeah, it's confusing. Yeah, I know. It gets very confusing. It was why when I worked as a industrial gardener in the summers, like landscape gardener at our university properties, we had international colleagues from all over the world. We had like Spanish, German, Slovak, Polish, Norwegian, all sorts of people. And we would just resort to Latin because at least when you have the Latin name, you can figure out what the other person is talking about, because botanical names get so confusing and none of it translates in any way that makes sense. You just have to check. In Washington State, in the US, we have both red and blue varieties of huckleberries. Yup, so there's at least one source of confusion already established within this berry family. So yeah, fun times. And local names to boot as well often makes the confusion even more complete. I don't think we shall win thread chicken with any of these. Ooh, maybe this one. This one it shall be. In Northern California, my dad has at least 2 types of blue huckleberries. Even more confusion. So maybe it's one of those berries that just has a large family or many, many varieties. Sounds like gooseberries in Norway as well, that you have both the red ones and the white ones. And red currants, which is confusing because for currants you also have white currants, and then there's black currants, which is not the same as red and white currants at all. They're a different thing. Of course, in Norway, black currants have a completely distinct name. They're not called currants or same thing as currants at all, which I know are outlawed in the US because they're invasive, which they are here too. You see wilded red currant bushes all over the place quite frequently, so yes, they are indeed. And I can often go picking for what I consider a garden berry along the forests, especially along the roads, kind of like the edge of the forest, where they get a lot of sun. You can very often find them in along streams of water, just hanging out, giving you a free berry harvest. But we don't like the invasives all the same, so I enjoy the foraging, but also you're not supposed to be here, ma'am. When in doubt, we go back to Carl von Linné. We do. It makes things a lot easier that there's at least one naming convention that sort of works for everything else. You all liking the fancy Lebkuchen version, meanwhile my favorite is Mannemer Trek. Literal translation, dirt from Mannheim. Catpaw really missed white, black, red currants. Aw, poor Catpaw. We're really pulling you through it with all the memories of various food items. I hope you have something else that you can enjoy as well. Yeah, no currants for North America? Yeah, but you have other berries though, like cranberries. And huckleberries, apparently, which are not the thing you find in Norway, so hopefully they can satisfy the berry cravings. We also have this thing called salmon berries, I think, which grow in spring, or is that just a Stardew Valley thing? And Kay talks about the dirt is made of nuts, sugar, orange, citronat, spices, also baked on oblaten and covered with a thin chocolate layer. Huh. So many interesting food traditions, and I love how they're kind of called similar things but are very distinct dishes. So you need to have to have to know where you're coming from, or just experience new and interesting flavors because someone has a different tradition than you. Not because they are invasive, but because they each have a different part of the life cycle of white pine disease of bug, and they can't have pine and currants in the same area or they both get sick. Ah, that was the thing, was it? I remember there was a good reason. Same as you losing all the glorious American chestnuts. And didn't they start breeding them with, was it Chinese chestnuts to try to help them survive because of some of the pests that were brought over from Europe? Which is just very sad. I don't like it when biodiversity goes belly up because people move and travel. But that does ring a bell, so you're probably right about that. Don't like ruining ecosystems for no reason, at least if we can avoid it, which they try to do in Australia and New Zealand to the best of their ability. Oops. There we go. A few more seams on the ye old project bag that is starting to look like it has embroidery now. I know you can't really see from this far away with the camera being so far off, but we are getting somewhere. Maybe we'll even be done before the new year and have some new forever projects to work on in the new year. Wouldn't that be exciting? Anyway, I think we shall call it there. We seem to always be going over the intended 2 hours, but it is so very nice to sit and hang out and... Pardon? Really getting upset today. Having a good time. You're pretty sure you have a currant bush at my neighbor's house in Utah? Interesting. I mean, people haven't stopped bringing stuff even if they shouldn't, and they don't always get caught, but that would be interesting if you actually have that. That would be cool. Well, not cool if it's not invasive, but interesting. They do that in Norway too, where someone brings something home from a vacation and suddenly it's all over everywhere and they don't know how to get rid of it. But yes, I hope you have a good rest of your day, rest of your week, and a great beginning to December. This last month of the year before we get a fresh start on this arbitrary way in which we count time, but nevertheless, I had a good time. I hope you had too, and I will see you hopefully next Thursday, so long as I am well. And Kay says they made good progress on the knitting project. We are very happy to hear it, that people have made good progress during the stream. But yes, I hope everyone has a lovely rest of their day and takes it easy. And I will see you all next time. Bye.